Hey Aries, welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. I hope that y'all are doing well. Aries, we have the animal and the crone, the kiss and the vow. The animal has been in like all of the reads lately. Like the crone's been in a lot of them too. But I just feel like you are committed to something that you have invested a lot of time into, a lot of energy, a lot of like, I just want to say like you've researched, you've like you've done your due diligence because there's something that you really want, right? Like if there's something that we really want to do in life, like we have to invest our time, energy, and attention into it, you know? And so I feel like there's just this idea of like, I made a promise to myself, maybe to another person, but I feel like you, in order to make a promise to another person, like you have to promise that to yourself. It has to be one of those things where it's like, I want this, because nobody can make you do anything you don't want to do, right? Aries gets that. And it's just kind of like, I feel like, and maybe it's a question of like, what is it that you really want? Like maybe you promised somebody that you would do something and then you didn't really do it. Like you didn't hold up your end of the deal. I kind of get the feeling of like not holding up your end of the deal and then wanting to, I guess, go back and pick up the slack. I don't know. It could be that you're dealing with somebody who's in that energy, because you can be on either side of the story. Take what resonates and leave the rest. I really sincerely don't know how it'll play out for you individually. But I do get the feeling that there's just this idea of like, no, I made this promise because it's what I want. Like, I didn't do it for you. I feel like there's just this idea of like, I didn't do it for you. I did it for me. But I did it for me because I want you. And so I will understand what that means. I will understand what it means to be the best version of myself. Okay, Aries. I mean, I love it. It's beautiful. Let's do clarifiers, because I really, justice, is the one card that pops out. Well, it does though. It feels like this idea of like, I promised myself that I was going to do this for me, and I promised that I would do it for you too. And I feel like there's almost an idea of like, I didn't fulfill my end of the bargain because I wasn't where I needed to be to like actually fulfill this promise, to fulfill this vow. So I had to go back and I had to figure a lot of things out, right? Okay, well, I mean, I get that. The Tower. Yeah, it does. It feels like this. Oh, the Tower, Judgment, and the Chariot. Yo, legit though, it does. It feels like judgment's been passed. You know what I mean? And it's like an end came to be like the grand finale, I guess, was like a big fat an end. And I feel like there is an idea here of bringing that end into justice by moving in major ways with a better understanding of what it means to commit to a promise of a relationship. However that plays out for you as an individual. I don't know, but I love it because it does feel very redemptive. It does feel very, I don't know, I just think of like a relationship with somebody who like it ended and you were like, and I feel like there's almost this idea of like, you promised that you would be these things, and that's what I expected from you, and you didn't fulfill any of that. You were none of those things. I almost feel like you or another person is just like in fact, you're a liar. And I think that you or the other person, again, I don't know which side of the story you're on, really took that to heart. And as a result, I just feel like made decisions that were like, I just feel like saying like, this isn't a game to me. And you're right, I treated it like it was a game. And I think that now, again, you or the other person is showing up and they're like, but you know what? It isn't a game to me. And in fact, I feel like you're making these like very solid decisions to move forward in really big ways, almost as a means to say, like put your money where your mouth is, right? Like if this person's calling you a liar, or if you're calling somebody else a liar, the only thing you can do to disprove that is to not be a liar. You know what I mean? Like if it's not a game, then show up like it's real. You know what I mean? Like act like you mean it. Like put your money where your mouth is. It's kind of just this, like, I feel like there is a level of resistance that you are facing in a way that is like, I'm going to blow that resistance so far out of the water by showing up the way I should have the first time. Aries. Okay, let's see what else we can get for y'all. Aries. The Hermit, the Moon, the Knave of Pentacles. Yeah, I mean, again, I do feel like something had ended already. Like, I do feel like this is something that, like, you had to pull away and just kind of, and that's been in your reads for a minute, you know. It's like, who am I in all of this? And you know, what is it that I really want? And, you know, what is it that I actually value? And is it just the surface level so I can say that I did this, or I can say I was around these people, or you know what I mean? Or is it because I actually give a fuck? And I feel like somebody looked at you and they were like, you don't actually give a fuck. In fact, I can tell you all the reasons why you don't actually give a fuck. You know what I mean? And I think that, like, you facing that, pulling away, and just like leaning into the process of like, okay, well, what does it mean to actually give a fuck? Right? If I'm not somebody who's just here to play games and you know, like, I think that I'm somebody who offers more than just some surface level life of lies and facades. You know, how do I prove it? Again, I just feel like it's this idea of like, put your money where your mouth is. Show up correct. The Knave of Pentacles is really just kind of an idea. But I feel like it's just like this person or you did this for that person. Again, I don't know which side of the story you're on, but I do think that, like, there was a seed planted, you know, like in this end, like when it's like, you know what, listen, you know, if you don't want to be treated like a child, don't act like a fucking child. You know what I mean? And somebody being like, oh. You know what I mean? And then pulling away and realizing, I think, very easily all of the reasons that somebody would treat you that type of way because you acted that type of way, right? And so I just kind of feel like you've really had to pull back and sit with this thought, sit with this judgment that's been passed, because I think that the judgment that was passed, again, was like this massive end of like, no way in hell will I move forward with that. And then you really having to figure out why. And I think you're showing up, and I think you're showing up with this sense of like dedicated understanding of like, no, you're right. like if I want to act like I just think of somebody who like talks a big game. And Aries, I love y'all, and you are not one to mince your words, or you know what I mean. Like Aries will talk a big game. Aries will also back up a big game if they mean it. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's somebody who was like, you didn't mean that. You don't mean it. Like, stop. You're lying to yourself. Like, you're not, like, I can see the lie. Like, you don't mean that. And I think that you're like, oh, fuck, I didn't mean that. Why didn't I mean that? And how do I actually mean that for real? So I can move past this end. Okay, Aries. I mean, I love it. Let's do one last card for y'all, and we'll call it a read. The Tear. No, we're not ending on that. But I do think that it's just kind of this, like, a sense of heartbreak. You know, like if you think you're somebody and then you enter into and relationships will do this every single time. A relationship will expose every single one of your pain points. And it can heal those pain points, but first it'll expose them. Most people don't make it past the exposure stage of a relationship. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's just this idea of like this exposure of like you're not who you think you are. And you know, like if you want to show up as somebody who, I just feel like if you talk a big game and then you show up and you can't do jack shit except for fuck everything up and get in the way and manipulate and dictate and you know what I mean, and question everybody else when you're the one who's actually the problem, like it just feels like this, like you said one thing and you did another. And I just think that like you're being called on that, and you're being called on it in a way that makes you feel like you're not going to actually be able to achieve what it is that you set out to achieve. And I feel like there's just this sense of revitalized, like, okay, but you know what? I did mean it, and I do give a fuck, and this isn't a game to me. And I feel like saying, like, this is our vision. And I'll prove it. Aries. Okay, well, I hope this resonates with y'all. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Please give me a like, share, and subscribe if it does. And I'll see y'all again soon. Bye.